Hello my sweet friends and welcome to Kinda Shabby. My name is Becky and I am so glad you stopped by. In today's video we're doing an embellished book stack and we're also creating beautiful bookmarks using jumbo craft sticks. Well, there's lots of fun in store today, so let's get these projects started. To begin my project, I'm using the Iron Orchid Designs mold called Trimmings 1, and I'm going to be using a few of these and also my hot glue gun to create some beautiful embellishments that I will then glue along to the spine of the book. And I'm going to be using my large glue gun for this project just to be able to quickly fill these elements. And so I've got it in there, and I'm going to just drop it a few times just to try to eliminate some air bubbles. And now that the glue has all cooled, you can see it's definitely more opaque, and you just simply work that little casting right on out of your mold. And that is going to look so pretty when we get some paint on there. Glue actually stuck these two together, so I am going to take a little pair of scissors and just trim off some of this excess here, and then I'll also take just a little bit of some fine grit sandpaper and smooth these edges out as well. Where the mold is an uneven area right here, I'm just taking my scissors and I'm rounding that off. So then once I round it off, I'm going to use a fingernail file and just kind of make all of that nice and smooth and even. That looks so much better already. And then I'm going to do the same thing to each of my pieces here. Now I'm taking my Titebond wood glue and I'm going to brush a pretty generous coat onto the back. Center it up and then press it in. And for some reason this glue does not want to set up. Usually it works fantastically well. So I'm just going to wipe this off. And then I'm going to try it with some hot glue. Let's see if that works. Yep, that's going to do it. That looks fantastic. So then I'll just go ahead and use my hot glue to apply my two remaining pieces to my books here. And then that is what we have on our books along the spine so far. And if you don't have these molds, you could use lace or some kind of a detailed trim, and that would look just as nice too. The colors that I will be using in today's project are Patina, Ballet Slipper, and Plaster. Taking a piece of floral foam, and I'm just going to stick these in there. That way it'll hold them up while I paint them. I'm going to do two of each color for my craft sticks. And then while my craft sticks are drying, we're going to go ahead and paint our books. You can see this book was already almost this color as well, so it's not going to take many coats to cover this up. And you can barely see any of those details in our glue mold, but let me start pouncing and swirling. And you can see all of those details start to come out when you start adding a little bit of paint. And that is just going to be so stunningly gorgeous. So then I'm going to use the same colors here on each of our books, and we'll come back and do a little more embellishing. Next, I'm going to be taking my smaller hot glue gun and some of my molds that have some of these cute little tiny details on here, because I'm going to be making some of these castings which will then be glued onto our little bookmarks. And I've seen these on Jamie Ray Vintage and I thought they were really cute, so I'm going to be making a few of those. But if you don't have the molds, you can use buttons or bling, anything along those lines would look really, really cute just glued onto the top of your little bookmark. And this is a redesign by Prima mold, and I'm going to be using the little bee and the crown out of this one. I'm using this small little bird here from the Iron Orchid Designs mold. And then I'm using this rosette and this heart from this Iron Orchid Designs mold. And once everything starts getting that opaque look, we're going to pop out all of our little castings here. And again, I've got some excess there that I'm just going to trim off with my scissors. But these things are just so cute. So I'm going to go off camera and take a few minutes and trim off all of that excess glue, and then we'll come back and get some paint on our castings. And now that I've trimmed off all of that excess glue, each of these little pieces will then be painted in our same colors here. And again, they just look so cute when you start getting that paint on there. All those details just really start to pop. Now we're going to be taking the Iron Orchid Designs stamp Kindest Regards, and I'm using the Iron Orchid Designs ink in black. So I'm just going to blot on some ink here. And that just adds just a little bit of character to those otherwise really plain sticks. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to stamp the front and the back of each of my craft sticks. And I love that, how just a little bit of ink adds such a nice little bit of interest to these plain little craft sticks. So now I'm going to be taking that same stamp, and I'm going to be stamping the front and the back cover of each of my books. I'm not going to be doing the spine because we're going to come back and we're going to do a wax treatment for the details on the spine. So again, I'm just going to gently tap ink onto my stamp here. Decide where I want it. Press down, and I'm just going to apply some light pressure. I don't want a very dark impression here. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. And so I'm going to follow that same process and stamp the front and the back of each of our books here. That font stamped on the books is just so gorgeous. I absolutely love how that turned out. That is so, so beautiful. What we're going to do now is apply our waxes. First, I'm starting with my Sloan Clear Wax, and whatever clear wax you have will be just fine. And then each one of these pieces will be coated in the clear wax. And then once I'm finished applying the waxes to our little castings, I will also apply the clear wax along the spine of the book on these little molded elements as well. And now that I have applied all of my clear wax, I'm just going to take a paper towel and just dab off any of that excess clear wax. And I'm going to do that to the remaining pieces here, and then we'll come back and get our dark wax applied. I want to use a dark wax, but sometimes a black wax can be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to be taking just a little bit of my clear wax and a little bit of the Waverly in the color Elephant, which is a nice dark charcoal. And I'm just going to get a little bit of that paint and mix that in with the clear wax to create a nice medium toned gray that I think is actually going to match really well with the color of the ink. So I'm going to work that wax into my bristles, and then I'm going to get most of that off and then come in on my details here and just start adding that into those crevices. Then when we take our paper towel and wipe back, that just really brings all of those elements out. So, so pretty. So I'm going to continue just working that into all of the details there, and then coming back with a paper towel to blot off the excess. So then we're only left with that dark gray in the recesses. I really like that. Pounce that in there. And then wipe back. That really brings those details out there. I love it. So I'm just going to finish adding all of the wax to the rest of my details here. And I'm also going to be doing the same thing, adding the wax to our little castings here, rubbing that into the details, and wiping back. So beautiful. And then once I get all of these little castings waxed, we're going to glue them on to form our little bookmarks. That is just going to be so sweet. I am so pleased with how those books turned out. That is just gorgeous. Oh, I love that. And now the last thing we need to do is glue down all of our little castings onto our sticks. These turned out so cute as well. And I also painted the backs of these because I know some of that is going to be showing on the other side. I don't want to leave that up like that because I think that is just kind of precariously perched right there and may fall off. So I'm going to glue this to where I've got some protection for the little butterfly antenna. And I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue here in the center. Line it up. And then just press and hold until it sets. And I'm not going to put any glue on the antenna. Those are so thin I may just melt them off if I tried to put hot glue on that. And I think our little bird looks cute like that. And again, I want to protect the beak because that is probably the weakest point here. I'm going to load some glue up in the middle again here. And again, just press and hold until that sets. So I'm going to take a few minutes and just glue down my remaining pieces to the rest of my little sticks. I just think that's adorable. I just love how all of these pieces coordinate as well. Now all I need to do is give you a closer look at how beautiful this week's projects turned out. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been my pleasure to craft with you. Please subscribe for more kind of shabby but always chic crafty inspirations. And until next time, my sweet friends, be blessed.